Hi, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to share with you, or actually walk you through the mixing of oil for your cash box or your cash register box. And I probably have shared a recipe with you before, but this one I want to share with you. These are items that you can get your hands on more readily. It's honeysuckle oil and orange excuse me, are usually the basis for the cash box recipes. I'm tweaking it a little bit because I'm not able to get my hands on the orange oil. Almond oil is a favorite that I use for money recipes, and cinnamon. I have cinnamon oil. You can use cinnamon spice, and that's what I generally use because it doesn't color the oil like the cinnamon oil will. And I finally got my hands on the cinnamon oil. I have a ton of this stuff, and so it took me a minute to find which box I had packed it away in. Also, allspice, and I like to include, this is allspice, I crushed it. And these are money shreds. I generally wrap my oil mixture, and I'll show that to you in money. You need some droppers. These are the droppers. And something to write on and something to record on, which is paper. And what I like to do first is write my recipe down, or what I'm going to actually include in the mixture itself. So here on this thing I've already written the honey, the almond, the orange, the cinnamon, which I'm not going to put cinnamon in it. I'm going to use the allspice, and money shreds. So I just put shreds for that. And I don't think you could see that so well. That's it. I have that written down. I'll probably just splice that in so you can see that. So you want to have your recipe written down, and then all you have to do is write on it, next to it, your measurements. Depends on what you want it to smell like. Orange is the orange is kind of, it kind of snatches your nose, but I'm not going to use orange drops. So what I did was I sliced, just peel off an orange peeling, which I can't even get it up, it's so slippery. I peeled the orange peeling off, and I'm going to drop it into this vial that I have. This is a mixture that I've used, that I mixed up, and you'll be able to see what it looks like here. The only thing I didn't add was the money shreds, and I will correct that on this next one. But sometimes I change the recipes. So here we go. I already know I'm going to only add a few drops of the, I said I wasn't going to put cinnamon. I forgot I had the oil. I will add the cinnamon oil to it. And I already know I'm only going to add 3 drops of cinnamon oil. So I'm going to write 3 drops next to that. And I have 3 peels of the orange. And my main fragrance is the honeysuckle. So I'm going to want more honeysuckle than anything else. And these weird drops only allow you to pull up a half a dropper at a time. So I'm going to put 2 halves in there, which will make a whole. Now that's a small amount that I'm mixing now. Let me just go ahead and add 1.5 drops of honeysuckle. Droppers. Excuse me, please. Make sure you put droppers. Cap that up quickly because I don't want to waste it. And then here, I want to share with you, I have a bottle of alcohol, just a small bottle, so I'll dip the, what is this thing called? The dropper. See if I can bring this up a little bit more and you can see what I'm doing. It's really close, but I want you to be able to see the measurements in the bottle when they come up. So let me set that to the side. And that was the honeysuckle. I'm going to now add, I want 1/4 of a dropper of almond oil. and that's because the almond oil is so strong. I'll cap that back up. You don't want to waste your main essential oils. They can be quite expensive. Now I only want 3 drops of cinnamon oil. And so I'll count that in. 1, 2, 3. Now you see the way that cinnamon oil went to the bottom? It's much heavier or thicker than the other oils. All essential oils are not made the same. They may extract them the same way, but when they finish, it's not the same. So I'll need to let that sit and soak in there for a bit because it's not coming out of the dropper. That's how thick it is. Now the oil is in there, and now I need to add, I'm hoping you can see that. This little thing is a nice little scooper I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and it works really well for scooping out, if I can get it to work right, seasonings. And the seasonings, normally, you can drop them right in. So when it's a powdered seasoning, it makes it really easy to drop those in there. So you need enough, because these are dried ingredients. They're going to reconstitute in order to give a nice addition to your oil. Now that is done, I want to add in these orange peels. And that will also, can you see that? I want you to be able to see it. That's why I'm using this angle, because I normally tell you, and people tell you and do it, but you can't really see what's going on. And these are just some money shreds. I love adding money shreds to a money mixture. It's the vibration of the energy that you want. So for the honeysuckle, remember you have to write your recipe down. That was 1.5 droppers. The almond, I put 1/4 dropper. And you need to make sure you write droppers. That way you know your exact measurement. Also, you want to label this bottle. And you want to date your recipe. So this is the Money Box mix, and I will put the recipe date on here, and I will put the recipe date on this bottle too. Now it's good to shake it up. You can roll it between the hands like so. You can shake it. Either way, it's going to need to sit and let the orange essence out of the peel permeate along with the allspice. It has to reconstitute because it was dried out. And once that happens, then you'll be able to use it. A quick, fast way that I know. Some people tell you to let your recipe sit for 30 days or more. Sometimes that may work really well if you're working with the new moon and the full moon energies. That is fine. But excuse me, if not, then this will go into the sunlight. I'll set this whole bottle in direct sunlight, and it'll act like when you're making the container of lemonade. It will allow those essence to permeate throughout this oil. Also, you want to hold it in your hand and infuse it with some energy, or ask your different beings to come in and to assist, be it ascended masters or angels, elves, fairies, whoever you get ancestors, whoever you get to come in to assist you, you can do that. But this is it's ready. Infuse it with some energy. You can speak a prayer over it, a blessing, and then sit it in the sun and let the energies from the dried ingredients permeate throughout. Now the orange peel was not dry, so it won't take as long for the essence of that to move around through the oil. But the allspice, it will take a little longer because it has to reconstitute. And that's the difference in using dry ingredients and fresh ingredients. The fresh ingredients move throughout the oil quicker than the dry ingredients. Alright, and now I will add the cutting oil, which this is a professional cutting oil. I forgot exactly what they call it. But I would recommend you using some mineral oil. And all I'm going to do is top this off. And the reason I'm using cutting oil is because the person may use this on their skin, and that way it's not so potent. And I'll wipe this off, so I know I got some around the rim. And you can see the separation in it. The cutting oil is at the top. The mineral oil keeps its properties longer. The other oils, a lot of the other oils turn rancid really quickly. Coconut oil is supposed to be good, but however, coconut oil is really thick usually. You may be able to find some that's thin. I'm just shaking this. The other thing that I like to do, and that is put the vibrations of money onto the oil. It's already inside, and so I'd let this sit in the sun a few days to get the essence out of the orange peel and the allspice. But I will also wrap this in money. Once I'm done, I would wrap this in money. And you take the largest bill. I don't use a $1 bill because I want bills larger than ones, and I want a larger denomination, the vibrations from a larger denomination on this money. So for this video, we're using a $20 bill, and this is all we're going to do. This is after I've let it sit in the sun. Now I'm just going to wrap it around the bottle. That's it. I'm wrapping it to me. And if this was for a client, I would be wrapping it, saying it would be telling the money to go to a client. It's difficult for me to wrap it that way. And I would be saying the name of the client that the money is for. Right. So if I was going to make a large batch in advance, I would roll the money around the container, saying that the money, with intent, either to myself or out loud, I would be saying that the money is going to the user. Draw and bring money to the user of this particular item. And then I would put one of these little teeny rubber bands around it, which I found them quite useful. You can pick them up at the beauty supply store or at the dollar store. And now it's wrapped around there. It's banded and wrapped around there. And then I would again set it out in the sun and allow the energy to permeate the entire. Inside there's money and outside there's money. And so I like to set it like that in the sun, and then I would set it on my altar, usually no less than 7 days. I like to set it on the altar. Now, if it's an emergency, if someone comes to me and they lost their oil and I don't have any made up already, and it's an emergency, it will be no less than 3 days. And that's just me. That sometimes you need to bombard an object with energy more than once in order for it to be more effective. Okay, hopefully that helped. you, allowing you to see exactly what I do as far as mixing. And that's all it is to it. Remember, label it. Use a little address label, or just take a piece of clear tape and put on there, and then write on the tape what it is and the date. So this is register or cash box mixture, and I will put the date on it, and it will correspond with what you have in your book, recipe book that you are keeping. You always want to keep a recipe book. Okay, thanks for joining me. Until next time.